UFC 273. I started my playlist in the background. You hear it? It's good stuff. Started it at number 273 on the playlist. You got to do it. You got to keep everything tight. We got a couple bets that we like. It's a weird card. We've been taking dogs all year, and we're up 31.2 units on the year. March Madness didn't go great. We were up getting closer to the 40s, but we'll bounce back. No worries. By the way, Masters picks are out. We're looking pretty good as I record this. Tiger Woods looking like he's going to make the cut. That was a 2-unit bet for us at even odds. Feels kind of nice. Hopefully he doesn't implode. If he does, and you're watching this later, you know, I mushed it. What are you going to do? It happens. And if not, then we nailed it. Great stuff. This is a UFC card, though. And, man, I'm torn. I want to keep taking dogs. But in order to do it, for this pay-per-view, you're going to have to fade some serious talent, at least at the top. So I want to dive in. First, follow at Mike Mush Sports for more stuff. For example, Masters picks, we didn't get to put a video out, but I put them out there on the Instagram, on the Twitter, at Mike Mush Sports, and we doubled up on the Tiger Woods bet, so we're going to see what happens. Always follow there for more stuff, more picks, breakdowns, analysis, me crying about losses, me celebrating wins like I'm a champ, which I am. And hit the subscribe button. I mean, it just helps. Hit the like button on the video if you can. Leave a comment. Join the chat. We do it live so we can go back and forth. Banter's good. It's fun for the pod. And let's dive in. Let's look at what the odds are. Let's see how we can lean and what we could put down there. Now, I'm mostly looking at these three, right? And the odds for these three, Chimaev is minus 490. I mean, I'll get further into it, but just off the top, that's a lot of juice to lay against a guy named Gilbert Burns. That's a lot of juice. So my first thought is that I don't like this number. I'll tell you that. Sterling and Jan, I'm torn on this one too. I mean, the juice is insane. We're talking about Sterling being the champ. Like it or not, the knee, illegal knee, whatever. He's still the champ. And he's coming in at plus 360. That's pretty rare that that happens. But I love Peter Yan. He's one of my favorite fighters. Have his rookie card. I'm just big on Peter Yan. I always have been. He seems like a Terminator. He's just a crusher. So we'll get to that one, but it scares me. And then, man, you're getting Korean Zombie at plus 540. But Volk, arguably pound for pound number one in the UFC right now. Who actually is? I got to imagine he's up there, right? He's third, according to Google. Usman, Adesanya, and Volkanovski. I think there's probably an argument if Volkanovski wins this one easily that he could move up that list. But in any case, scary going against the guy that has beaten up on Max Holloway consistently. Don't really love that. But there's some wide odds, like I said. So let's go back. Let's look at some of the other matchups. We can go back to the prelims here just to go through them. I don't have strong feelings on this fight at all, so we're going to skip it. This one either. You know, these early card fights, you have to either trust in the competition that those people have fought before, which I can't do here, or have a really strong lean against the line. And it's just not there for me. The first one that might be is Oleinik and Jared Vanderaa. Look, this is the most cookie cutter UFC video game matchup you can get, right? This is just going to be spamming overhand right hands and probably knocking Oleinik out because he's looked pretty rough his last few fights. And this will be old fighter trying to avoid the big shot, taking it to the ground and getting a crafty submission. These odds are about even because no one knows what to do with it, and that's where it should be. If you're taking on action on this fight, I mean, if you're trying to tell me you know something about it, it's hard for me to imagine that you do. The one thing that I would lean towards is that Oleinik hasn't looked good the past few, and age has got to catch up, and his chin can't be there. But if he doesn't get hit by the big bomb early, you know, maybe he does get it to the ground. I'm staying away from this one, but I would lean towards the slight favorite, probably. Same thing here. I kind of feel like Mickey Gall getting plus 152 in this is good value. He does look good for a lot of portions of his fights and then kind of just collapses a lot of the time. So I'm going to stay away from it because I keep telling myself I'm not betting Mickey Gall in any circumstance, even though he's always getting better odds than I think he should. And then he loses the fight. So, you know, maybe the odds are right in the first place. Another one I'm sticking away from, but I would take the dog in this one if I had to. Aspen Ladd against Raquel Pennington. I just don't have a good feel for either side. Should be an interesting fight. This Jairzinho Rosenstrike Tybura fight, I had a whole spiel planned for it, but it's called off. Doesn't seem like it's going to happen. Illness, so we'll see what happens for that. We won't waste our time. Ian Gary, I love. I really like him. Also got his rookie card, by the way. Into sports cards these days. I think he's got a good future, but these odds are terrible. I mean, the whole card is very similar in that these favorites are juiced to the gills. Probably also juiced to the gills with other stuff. But the point is, Darian Weeks, not an awful fighter. I don't see why the odds are this wide. They're really buying into the hype of Ian Gary, probably to just balance the action, because the public is going to crush Gary. So I don't think the odds are worth it at all at minus 360, although I like him to win the fight. So if you wanted to take a flyer on the dog here, I'm not going to do it because of how much I like Gary, but I would understand it. And then you go to the main card. We talked about the later fights. Don't have any feel for this Mark Madsen fight. I'm out. Mackenzie Dern, Tisha Torres, the odds are about even, and I think they should be about even. I've always thought Tisha Torres was a little underrated, to be honest with you, so didn't understand that one. And then we're on to the main three. Now, how do we break these down? What do we do? Let's first look at the implied odds, which means, you know, how often is a plus 380 supposed to win? So we put it in here into this calculator, and it tells you that about 20% of the time the fighter should win that fight. That's the way it goes. So you got to ask yourself, do you think, that's the Twitter, by the way, Mike Mush Sports, we're on the wrong thing, sorry, but, you know, follow it. Do you think Gilbert Burns can win 20% of the time against Chimaev? I think he definitely can. I think those numbers are way wrong. I think they're much closer to 50. I'll even grant that it's probably somewhere between 35 and 40% of what it should be. And I don't know if it works this way, but yeah, it does. 35% would be plus 185. So you're getting, I mean, so much value on Gilbert Burns. Let's not forget, this guy rocked Kamaru Usman and came as close as possible to beating him. So this feels weird. Let's go back through his older odds here. Now, let's see if the lines have changed, too. Where are we? Where's this fight? It's not on here? There she is. Interesting. It's under future events. But in any case, I'm not crazy. It went from 360, 400, 380, 375. Hasn't moved that much. If anything, I don't know. I don't know the way this is going to go. I just don't like laying the odds with Chimaev. Look, he's awesome. I don't need to go into why he's awesome. But when there's a big change in competition, I just need to see it. I'm not saying he's not going to do it, but Li Jiangliang is good. Gerald Meerschaert is good. Reese McKee is good. These aren't bums, and he's taking no damage. I get it, but they're not Gilbert Burns. They're just not. So I need to see it against that step up in competition before I realize that maybe on the next one the odds are worth it. But let's look at Chimaev's odds before. Wow, they have odds listed for a future event against Usman, and he's plus 170. Interesting. It's fascinating the way these are listed. He would be a minus 300 against Leon Edwards. I don't get that. He was only minus 260 against Li Jiangliang. Did we learn that much from the Meerschaert fight to the Lee fight? And then the Lee fight to the Burns fight? To make him go from a minus 260 to a minus 560? And this has this fight opening at minus 110 apiece. I don't think it ever really did, to be honest with you. But, I mean, I just don't understand it. How are we jumping this far? He was minus 600 against Reese McKee. Now he's minus 600 against Gilbert Burns? And maybe I'm falling into a trap here, but man, I can't pass up the dog odds there. I can't. I want to look at Burns as well. I mean, Burns was a favorite against Stephen Thompson. He was plus 190 against Usman. Again, what has changed about these fighters that much? I don't think there's that much that has changed. So you're getting him at plus 190 against Usman, which I still liked, by the way, and he knocked him to the ground. So proved that for the people that took him, it made some sense. And now he's plus 380 against Chimaev. Did we forget how good Gilbert Burns is? I know he's like 35, but man, is he really going to get ragdolled like this? Even if he does, I like the odds. So sign me up for that one. I'm putting it in. Gilbert Burns, 1 unit at plus 380 against Kazmat Chimaev. It's not an easy one. It's not going to feel good if he gets crushed, but I think the odds are there. Let's move on to Jan Sterling. Now, my initial lean, which I'm probably going to stick with, is to stay away from this one. But if we look at the line movement, it hasn't really moved that far. No one wants to go against Jan, I think, is what this is. Because even if the dog odds make sense, we watched this happen already. Sterling was getting the break speed off of him before that illegal knee. He looked pretty good in the first round and gassed out completely. Now, is he going to be better? You know, sharing pictures on Instagram that he looks like he's in good shape. Big deal. But I don't know. I don't feel good about a second matchup between two guys where one dominated the first matchup and had to hold the L and is coming back for vengeance. It's Jan's belt. He's going to want his belt. I'm just not comfortable here. But let's look at Sterling's past odds. Because you're getting value here too, right? There's no doubt. You are. You definitely are. This is the one that never happened. It got moved back, so we can. These are, you know, both the same. But last time Sterling was a plus 125 going into the fight. Now I do think we learned a lot about this matchup because we've seen these two square off specifically, right? So this isn't the same as the other ones we were laying out where I'm like, well, I don't think we learned that much. This one we did learn because they fought each other already. If you want to make the case that Sterling at plus 360 is worth it, I'm with you. I get it. I'm not putting it on my card because of how much I love Jan. And that's it. It doesn't have to get more complicated than that. These two guys are absolute monsters. And we've been seeing... Look, Sterling was an underdog against Jimmy Rivera. Pedro Munoz, about equal odds. This guy is who he is. He's very good. I like him. New York guy. I'm in. But it just doesn't feel like horrible odds. Now, in a rematch, it's not often that the odds shift by 200 or more, which is why I'm not taking Peter Yan, right? I don't want this. You could do the favorite parlay. You could do all that. I hate it. I hate the odds that you're getting on that. He shouldn't be a minus 500 in this fight. I mean, it's a relatively equal fight. If you told me he was minus 300 and this was, you know, plus 220 or 30, that I could see. I could see that level of shift. This level of shift is nonsensical, but I just refuse to go against the Terminator. I think he matches up too well. You look at Jan's odds. I mean, he was minus 300 against Sandhagen, who I think Sandhagen and Sterling are like mostly the same. I actually think Sandhagen would beat Sterling probably, although that fight happened already. That was the choke fight, I think. Yep. And he lost via rear naked in the first, but I think there's a world where he beats Sterling a lot of the time. And at the very least, it's about even. So again, you look at that, and it was minus 300, and now he's minus 460. So if you think you're getting that 160 of odds, then great. But Jan has been this guy for a while. It's not shocking that these are the odds at all. So, you know, look, he was minus 240 against Aldo, too. It's the Sterling side that makes a little less sense, but I don't need to beat a dead horse. If you like Sterling, take him. If you like Jan, I would just enjoy the victory and try to get him on the next go-around when he fights somebody else. I don't know if the odds will ever get better, but that doesn't mean you need to take favorites just because you think they'll win. The odds need to be right. So, Volkanovski, Chan Sung Jung, how have the odds changed on this one? You know, you can get some minus 720 on him, but this is crazy to me. This is the craziest one. I'm taking Korean Zombie. I'm just calling Vegas's bluff. I don't even care. The reason is that he's probably not the one that should be in line for this belt shot, right? Like, it just kind of worked out for him. But this is supposed to be Holloway. They had to cancel the fight, and now Holloway's like ready to fight again, so that doesn't make a whole lot of sense either. But man, Ortega already beat Chan Sung Jung, but then lost, so it can't be him. Holloway had to pull out. Yair, who's Yair fighting? This division's just a little jammed up. Gonna fight Zabit in July, which is really, really interesting. We'll see what happens with that, but he's got to fight. Cater is not quite there yet, so, you know, it falls to Korean Zombie. He can sell tickets. He's interesting. I see Korean Zombie a lot like Yair. That was a great, great, great fight. And Korean Zombie was on his way to winning until the last moment before the bell, where he hit him with that crazy uppercut elbow kind of thing from behind and knocked the lights out, and Yair wins that fight. But if this is Yair, the odds aren't this wide, are they? I can't imagine. I mean, we might find out. If Yair beats Zabit, he'll be the next in line if Volkanovski beats Korean Zombie, or we'll get the rematch the other way. But I just can't for the life of me figure. It's so disrespectful. Plus 540. What? The implied odds for this one would be... Oops. 15% of the time, Korean Zombie wins this fight. 15? Come on, dude. Come on. Give him 25. And if the odds are 300, I probably wouldn't have batted an eyelash. I might have, if it looks cute. But 15% of the time? That's rough. That's really giving disrespect to a guy that's a really crafty striker, weird style, and Volkanovski has seen what Holloway can do, right? But Holloway is all speed, precision, and up the middle kind of stuff. I love Max Holloway. I think he could beat Volkanovski. But Chan Sung Jung is doing different things. He's weird. He's a lot like Yair in that way. He's going to catch you off guard, and if you're not ready for it, he can have a really good first round, beat you up a little bit, and then it's a new fight. And I assure you, if Chan Sung Jung has a good first round, those live odds are going to change in a hurry, because they don't make any bit of sense. Now, let's look at Volkanovski and how his odds have played out. Not entirely sure why all the fights aren't on here, but he was an underdog against Aldo, but this is so long ago. It doesn't have the Holloway fights where they were about equal. But we have never seen Volkanovski be minus 700. We never see anyone be minus 700. Even Nunez in her last fight was like, and she lost, was minus 800. So this is how pretty much, it's damn close to how people were supposed to feel about Nunez Pena, which was probably the biggest upset in UFC history, arguably. You're telling me that if Korean Zombie beats Alexander Volkanovski, that would be one of the biggest upsets in UFC history? I don't buy that for a second. Not even close. Why are the odds this wide? It seems so disrespectful. Is there something I don't understand? Maybe. But I'm taking Chan Sung Jung, 1 unit at plus 540. It just seems right. And those are the only picks I have on the card, to be honest with you. So that's it. I don't need to go too much further than this. 2 units overall on UFC 273. And I like them both. And I would do more. But, you know, when you're taking heavy dogs, you actually don't need to load up on the units unless you think they're great. I think the odds are just in our favor. So we got Gilbert Burns, plus 380, 1 unit. Chan Sung Jung, Korean Zombie, plus 540. And we stay away from the Jan Sterling fight because I think Jan just walks him down. Don't be scared. If you lose it, you took a shot. This is how we get the big odds. It's the year of the dog. We love dogs here on this. It's been working for us. Every time we parlay the favorites, when you're in college, it makes sense. When you grow up and you need to hit bets, it's way better to take underdogs from what I'm learning this year. It's a new strategy for me, but it's working. Up 31.2 units on the year. Subscribe for more. Go to Mike Mush Sports, at Mike Mush Sports on Twitter and Instagram for more up-to-the-minute stuff. We'll be back with more videos. Hit the subscribe button. We'll see you next time. Peace out.